Barrasso, the starting goaltender for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
What a 15-5 and a 2.71 goals against average. He now has the top save percentage in the NHL in the playoffs, .911. Eddie Belfour, record of 12-4, 2.36 goals against average.
And the puck drop. Mario Lemieux out here with Kevin Stevens and Rick Tocchet, and the Penguins steer it up towards the Hawks line. Brent Sutter will take command of the biscuit. He's out here with Stefan Matteau and Dirk Graham. And the Hawks' Chris Chelios comes up. Stevens will belt him, and off the puck he goes, and it's on to the Penguin line. And Roberts avoids a check by Dirk Graham. Here's Stevens up into the Chicago end, trying to get to the loose puck. Chelios lost his stick, but the Hawks steer it to center, and it's Dirk Graham. Right back into the Penguins' end, and Rick Tocchet steers it up. Here's Lemieux with Stevens open on the left wing. We'll give it to him, back to Mario. Left wing circle, shoots it right on Belfour, the save. As Lemieux let the shot go from the left wing circle. And cleared away off the boards and back up into Penguin real estate. And the Hawks are called for icing here in the first minute of play. Well, Lemieux with the first scoring chance for either club here in the first moments of play in game number 4 of the Stanley Cup final round.
You see Pierre Maguire with his hand on top of his head, not because he doesn't have a lot of hair up there, but because he's signaling to his team that they have to make a line change. That's his hand signal to the guys on the ice that it's time to make a change. He changes the defense for Scotty Bowman. Scotty Bowman and Mike Keenan both realize that you can't get this job done unless you have the horses, and Keenan said that before this series, but there aren't many guys who get the horses in position to win the race the way Scotty Bowman does. He's the greatest at it in the history of the game.
Scotty going for his 6th Stanley Cup. 1-5 with the Montreal Canadiens. He was involved in a couple of sweeps also with that Montreal club. Here's Busquets defensively. Roenick's line out here with Larmer and Jocelyn Lemieux for the Chicago Blackhawks, and they spin it to the Penguins in. Barrasso will leave it, but Paul Stanley is heavily hit. Here to the near side, picked up by Sean McEachran, tries to clear it out. Marchment gets the puck, swinging in between the circles. Now Ronnie Francis drops it right back to center. Rod Busquets will put it down the boards, intercepted by Ulf Samuelsson. He gives it right to Rod Busquets, the former Penn, and he drills it in behind the Pittsburgh goal. Stan defensively works it up the wood, and it caroms back into Chicago ice. I think Robbie Brown could have played that puck, and they ruled that he could have, so there'll be no icing. Robbie, the former Penguin, also leaving the puck for Brian Marchment. Marchment's pass on to center, intercepted by Jimmy Pack. And to Shel Samuelsson, the Penguins whack it right back into the Chicago net area. Eddie Belfour leaves it near side. Jaromir Jagr, Maloney, and Trottier the trio. Jagr with a shot. He shoots and scores from the right wing circle, and the Penguins take a 1-0 lead. Oh, scratch my back with a hacksaw. What a vicious wrist shot by Jaromir Jagr. And the Penguins take an early 1-0 lead here in Chicago.
First goal for Jagr in the series since that tremendous goal he scored in the 3rd period of game 1. He just circled off the boards. Troy Loney made a beeline down the boards to pop the puck loose. Jagr picked it up, walked out, and snapped it over the stick glove of Eddie Belfour. Jagr does not pull the trigger that often with a wrist shot in that situation, but he had a lot of net to work with, and he put it in off the far post.
Number 11 in the playoffs for Jaromir Jagr, and the Penguins have a 1-0 lead.
At 1:37, Pittsburgh goal scored by Jagr.
And the Penguins set it up from their own end, and Larry Murphy throw it ahead of the Chicago zone. It went right over the head of Belfour and into the seats, and we'll take a timeout. 18:13 left here in the first period. Pittsburgh 1, Chicago nothing in game 4 on the Penguins Hockey Network.
I don't know whether they freeze that hand here tonight. I don't know if they did or not, but
well, the Hawks are going to use Brian Marchment up on the left wing here in this line with Brent Sutter and Dirk Graham. So Marchment will play left wing, and he has a goal in this series to Brent Sutter. Snap one off. Barrasso makes that save, and chopped around to the near wing, and Larry Murphy feeds it on through to center red. Chelios played it off Lemieux's stick and up into the seats, and the face-off will take place at center ice.
Chris Chelios explained his actions against Larry Murphy the other night as an effort to get a whistle so that the puck, having been won by the Penguins, would not be shot into an empty net. He wanted to get a stoppage in play. And that was his explanation. Brian Marchment's going to be a good player for the Blackhawks for a while. He's only 23 years old. Pretty good trade for the Hawks.
First round draft choice of the Winnipeg Jets.
Yep.
There's been some talk here in Chicago whether or not Mike Keenan will continue coaching. He is the general manager and coach of this hockey club. Daryl Sutter, the assistant, has made it known that he wants the head job, and if he doesn't get it here, he's going to try and move on. And there's been talk that Daryl Sutter is one of the leading candidates should Keenan continue to coach for the Los Angeles Kings vacancy. Stefan Matteau in the near side of the Chicago zone. They dig for it. Francis trying to work it free. Does in the corner, but František Kuchera, the Chicago defenseman, steps up through his own zone. Onto the red line now, and he's checked from behind by McEachran. Poke it through to the Penguin net. Barrasso will leave it for Rolf Samuelsson. Cutting to the left of the goal, and tap it ahead of center to Ronnie Francis. Francis looking for McEachran. He's into the Chicago end. McEachran tried to feed it over to Bourque, cut off by Steve Larmer. He gave it away to Jimmy Pack, and Pack now will wrap it right back into the Chicago end. And Steve Smith defensively for the Blackhawks, finding Kuchera out to center to Roenick. Roenick wheeling deal into the Penguin zone. He has not been able to score in this series. The Penguins have done a tremendous job against the big line. Loney knocking Roenick for a little loop there as Loney stepped into him. The play has stopped, and nothing will result here. Jeremy Roenick in the series has no points. Michel Goulet, the normal left winger on that line for quite a bit of time, has 1 goal, and Larmer has 1 assist. That's it.
Loney put the right arm on the back of Roenick and was able to push him down to the ice towards the boards in front of the Penguin bench, and the crowd looking for a penalty against Loney.
Chelios is going to shoot it in. He's playing the left side of the fence as they bring him now on with Busquets. So Chicago's Mike Keenan really pulling out all stops here tonight, as you might expect, in an effort to try and get his club going. They're going to break up Steve Smith and use Chelios here on the left side of the fence with Rod Busquets. And the Hawks have Goulet, and he's going to come off here. And they'll put Roenick out with Dirk Graham and Jocelyn Lemieux. Mario Lemieux stays here at center with Bob Airey and Jaromir Jagr. So Lemieux doing a little double shifting of his own. Way back to the Hawks in a 1-0 Pittsburgh lead in the first period. Jaromir Jagr scoring in 1:37 of the opening period and tapped ahead up the right wing boards to the Penguin zone. And Gordie Roberts will get it up to Lemieux. He's shouldered by Jeremy Roenick. And Dirk Graham starts right back to the Penguin line, and he drills it in. Barrasso's going to clear it away from the net, coming off the near wing. Jagr tried to clear. He is hit heavily by Roenick. Chelios got the puck, and Jagr got hurt in that play, but he's slow in getting up and back on. Roenick really belted him into the boards. Busquets has to return to the Chicago end to take him out of the puck. Outlet pass. Roenick looked up. He saw Loney and now whacks Loney as he went by him from behind. And I'll tell you one thing. Roenick was looking for Loney that time. He put a devastating check on Jaromir Jagr, but the fans have his number also, and it's cleared by Pittsburgh up the length of the ice, and Chelios will touch it. And icing called against the Penguins. If you're going to use fire, and that certainly Roenick is capable of that, one of the better hitters in the league for his size at 170 pounds, but he's got to be aware that he's going to get banged back, and he was in that situation. And although they were making a line change, he looked up to see who was around before he made that play, and then he turned and he whacked Loney as he went off the ice. Brian Trottier with Yuri Hrdina and Troy Loney. So early on, Scotty Bowman getting a lot of people involved in the game in this first period. And Chelios will pair up here now with Igor Kravchuk. Kravchuk will work the right point. Kravchuk shoots it right down low. A good save. Rebound. Barrasso stop it right in front on Steve Larmer. Larmer had a chance on the rebound right in front, but he couldn't get it by Barrasso. And the Penguins remain in the lead 1-0.
Well, I asked Barrasso about that glove hand that was so successful the other night. And he said that when I'm doing that, that's a sign that I'm seeing the puck extremely well. And he said yesterday he was interviewed extensively at the hotel as the media came over to the Penguins hotel. And he said that what he's learned over the years in this league is the ability to win and play well despite the fact that he's not seeing the puck well, or that he doesn't feel good on a particular night. So that's the key to success, is being able to fight through that stuff, and that's what he's learned to do in the years he's been in the league.
And Tommy said before Game 3 he really didn't feel all that comfortable. Didn't think he had a good warm-up, but all of a sudden he got in and it was right there. Trottier shoots it back to the Chicago goal. Loney looks for the puck. It comes off the near corner. And Yuri Hrdina will shoot it in behind the Chicago net. Pittsburgh leading 1-0. That's the same score they won by here in Game 3. Stan up the right side, shoots it towards a goal. Blocked off a skate. And the Hawks will take it in counterattack. Long shot by Larmer. Avoids Tom Barrasso in the Penguin net. It slams off the glass to the near side. On the Kiram, Hrdina looks for the puck. Rolf Samuelsson over there putting some pressure on one of the Hawks, trying to keep him pinned in the corner. That's Larmer. And still fighting for the puck will be the Penguins, and they get it out back to center ice. into Chicago territory, and Chelios coming back to play the puck. On to center ice, and it's grabbed now by Roenick. Roenick back on the ice surface, gets the puck to Chelios, and Chelios turns around, avoiding a check by Kevin Stevens, and on to Stefan Matteau. Right wing pass. There's Graham into the Penguins. Here comes to the backhander. Stop. Rebound. Score. Dirk Graham got his own rebound back. And the Chicago Blackhawks have tied the game at 1. I'll tell you, that was dangerously close to being an offside play there. But the Hawks get the tying goal. Dirk Graham finally gets one by Barrasso here in Chicago, and the Hawks have tied the game.
Barrasso stopped the first shot. The rebound came out and hit a skate or something, went right back into the net. I'd like to see that one again. Matteau, the man who made the play to him. Graham appeared to be way in
I'm telling you,
the
I think he
offensive
was
zone when he
offside.
got it. Barrasso made the save. He got his own rebound and put it in. Good play by Graham, but he looked like he was 10 feet over the blue line when that puck was sent over the line by Matteau.
Well, I wish we had a different angle at it, but I do not believe, I just don't think he was onside. Here's Lemieux now, and Tocchet teaming up. Lemieux to the right side of Kevin Stevens, cuts around in on Busquets. Backhander, he shoots and scores. Kevin Stevens gets it right back. Oh, look out, Loretta. The Penguins have taken the lead, 2-1. Lemieux to Stevens, and the Penguins answer that goal, coming right back to cash in at 6:33, 12 seconds after Graham had scored.
And this off Mike Keenan's lips, Dominik. And here comes Dominik Hasek, the Czechoslovakian goaltender. Lemieux pushed it over, a little saucer pass to Stevens. He cut in on the backhand. Belfour was lunging for that puck again with a stick, and right through the 5-hole. He did not play that one at all. Belfour looking as if he's fighting the puck again. And that'll be all for him, at least for now. Keenan has been known to play musical goaltenders and send his goalies back in after pulling him in situations like this.
Now, Dirk Graham's goal for the Blackhawks, his 5th of the playoffs, 2nd of the series. At 6:21, Matteau assisting. That was at 6:21, and a dozen seconds later, Kevin Stevens notches his 13th of the playoffs. Mario Lemieux has 1 assist. Chelios also assisting on that goal by Graham. And the backhander by Stevens giving the Penguins the advantage again. And Dominik Hasek feeds his first action here in this series.
For years, Hasek was considered the best goaltender in Europe.
He has appeared in 2 playoff games this year. 0-1 with a 2.31 goals against average. And this young guy is going to come on for the Blackhawks.
He plays that butterfly style also, and he'll also put that stick flush to the ice, lay it down across his pads to block shots between the legs, and the style is similar to Eddie Belfour's in that regard.
Hasek was an 11th round draft choice of the Blackhawks back in 1983 when it wasn't real fashionable to draft people. Now in front, here's Graham tying the game as he got open in front. And Dirk Graham gets his second, and we're off and running again. We're tied at 2. Do you believe this? 3 goals in less than a minute. Dirk Graham gets his second and his 6th of the playoffs, and it is 2-2.
The Hawks were looking
30 seconds, 3 goals.
Mike Keenan thought that his team would be able to play a little looser here tonight and generate more offense. That was a good pass off the boards to Graham, and all he had to do was one time and into the net.
I'll tell you, the guy that's putting things up on the scoreboard doesn't even have time to punch him into the computer. They're coming so fast. Chelios sliding the puck over to Graham, and the Hawks have made it 2-2. Well, here we go. The left point, Igor Kravchuk swinging over the right side. And the Penguins in, and Samuelson will bounce it up ice back into the Chicago zone, and Hasek will play the puck for the first time tonight. The Chicago goaltender dumps it back to center. Roenick runs into Paul Stanton. Penguins and Hawks tied at 2 here in the first period. On to the right wing of the Penguins in. Noonan shoots one, and that'll miss the Penguin net. Third off the near boards, and Igor Kravchuk put it behind the net. Samuelson knocked down one of the Hawks. It was Brian Noonan. Chicago's going to get a power play. And the Hawks have a man advantage. Samuelson will be penalized. An interference call will return, tied at 2 on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Well, the Penguins turned the puck over in their own end, and Chelios was able to throw it right back to the net to Graham.
Roenick, Larmer, and Noonan up front for the Hawks in a power play. Top of the circle, right side of the Penguins in, and Chelios and Kravchuk the 2-point men. And Ronnie Francis and Mario Lemieux, the 2 penalty killers. And it's pulled to the right point of the Penguins in over to Chelios now, center point, shoots one, deflected, and Lemieux will steer it up the sideboards and up into the Chicago net area. Dominik Hasek stops the play for defenseman Igor Kravchuk, working the points out here are Chelios and Kravchuk. And Chris Chelios, who has set up both Hawks goals, played up the corner boards. Neroni goes behind the net, turns, and he can't spin it around in front. Somebody got a piece of it. Over to the right side of the Penguins in to Kravchuk. Kravchuk banking in behind the Penguin net. It comes near side to Jeremy Roenick. Roenick to Larmer of Chicago, tries to center, and Kjell Samuelsson whacked that by Noonan. Pressured back into the corner, and he made a good play to help keep the puck in. Larmer up the right side. And it's off his stick and right to Mario Lemieux. And Lemieux comes up, and he'll flip it up to center ice. On the move, Larry Murphy has it to the Chicago line. And Murphy's hit from behind by Chelios. A penalty coming up again. Chelios elbowed him. What's going on with Chelios? And Larry Murphy. Chelios just flattening from behind with an elbow. Blindsided him.
Good. Knocked him out
gracious.
cold. He's out cold, I think.
Give me a break. You're on a power play. I mean, he wasn't after him according to Chelios in the last game, but this is, I mean, you're on a power play. Oh. 8:17, the time of the elbowing penalty to Chris Chelios. So there'll be an equal strength for 1 minute and 11 seconds, and Chelios in the penalty box. And the Hawks fail to score in their first power play opportunity with Ulf Samuelsson off. Game tied at 2. Murphy taken to the Penguin bench.
Elbows are something that Chris Chelios is famous for. Or infamous might be a better word.
And Phil Bourque now on for the Penguins with Bob Airey. Graham's over talking to Van Helleman, I guess pleading the fact that he didn't get the arm up into him, but it looked as though he got the arm, the shoulder, the elbow right into the back of his head. So the face-off will be in the Chicago zone with 11:43 left here. It's just very interesting, and all of a sudden Murphy has become the target of Chelios, not only late in Game 3, where he pleaded that he thought the Penguins were going to score a goal at that moment, and then coming right back out to nail him from behind to put him on the ice, and now the Hawks feed it back into the Penguins in around the right side of Igor Kravchuk. Kravchuk shoots it, and it missed the Penguin goal. Around to the left point, Steve Smith of Chicago. Trying to get around Phil Bourque, cut around him now, goes to the corner, centers it back, and it goes to Dirk Graham, who has scored both Chicago goals. On to Brent Sutter. Sutter to the center point, to Kravchuk, who slams one wide. And the Hawks now watching Larry Murphy trying to poke it up ahead. He can't do it. Grabbed by Steve Smith, walking towards the net. He goes right in front, and Murphy reads the play and steals. Larry Murphy back to the Chicago blue line area. He'll come up and he'll shoot it right to the net, and Hasek will make his first save of the night. He replaced Eddie Belfour after the Penguins scored their second goal at 6:33. Steve Smith bounce it up into the Penguin right wing corner, and Steve Larmer of Chicago trying to hold it in. It bounces outside the zone. Jimmy Packett turned him around. Now Steve Smith, the Chicago defenseman, flip it up towards the Penguin net, and Barrasso is going to glove it, but it was an offside call against Chicago. And now in 5 seconds, Ulf Samuelsson will return to the ice, and the Penguins will have a power play, so that whistle on the offside play actually helped the Pins as Eddie Belfour stares on.
You'll notice that Belfour is still wearing his mask. Normally when a goaltender comes to the bench, he'll take that helmet off and relax, but Belfour basically saying to Mike Keenan, I want to stay in this game and I'm not taking my mask off, and that's the way it works. Belfour often will be very, very adamant about wanting to go back into the game and yell at Keenan and tell him he wants to be back in, and they're not going to get anything by him, and he's a competitor, and Mike Keenan knows that. Belfour putting his gloves on now. Keenan just said something as he came down to that end of the bench. He may have been telling him to stay ready. And now Belfour takes his mask off.
May have told him put it away.
Never know.
We're tied at 2 here in the first period. And Larmer and Noonan out here. In a moment, Samuelsson will come on. The Penguins peel back into their own end, and Ulf, let's see if he joins the play here, trying to headman the puck to Yager to Lemieux. Lemieux after the Chicago in, trying to center it back to Yager. He is hit on the play. The pass broken up, but Yager takes over with the puck. Going behind the net, around to Lemieux. Man open right point as Ronnie Francis goes to it. Ulf Samuelsson left side. He's open, has the puck. Will he shoot it? Trying to swing it in deep to Kevin Stevens. He's taken out of the play neatly, and the Hawks trying to get it out, and they have it, and Brian Noonan shoots it away. The Penguins at 20% on the power play against Chicago here in this series so far.
Scotty Bowman said today that they worked on some things to try to get the power play going. He wasn't happy with the way it had been going.
3 out of 15, and this is the 16th chance. And Lemieux into the Chicago end. Pulls back. Good drop pass to Murphy. A slap shot. Never got to the net. Now it's free in front. Score! Lemieux! He gives the Penguins a lead. Off Hasek, and Lemieux drills it home with the rebound. And the Penguins have a 3-2 lead. Oh, she wants to sell my monkey. Mario Lemieux after the shot by Larry Murphy. And the Pens score a power play goal, and Chelios has to take that long walk or skate from the penalty box to the bench.
Well, Lemieux had the puck on the right wing boards. He threw it back to the point to Murphy, who drilled it to the net. It got through off Hasek. Hasek down on his back, and Lemieux patiently lifted that puck with a backhand up over Hasek and into the net to give the Penguins the lead again. Karen Stitt of Pittsburgh is $100 richer on our Ironman Advantage contest. She gets $100 from Iron City Beer and Mario Lemieux.
So Lemieux, his 16th of the playoffs. Larry Murphy has an assist. And number 25, Kevin Stevens, also assisting on the goal. The Penguins lead 3-2 over Chicago. And Larry Murphy now, the Penguins, fired up the glove at Chelios onto the Chicago zone. Chelios will leave it for Brent Sutter. A lot of scoring here in the opening 20 minutes of play. Dirk Graham comes up. Samuelsson got a piece of him and never let him into the zone. Dirk Graham has both scores for Chicago. Now to the left side of the Chicago end. The Pens are offside. 9:17 left here in the first. And already we have 5 goals scored in this game. It is 3-2 Pittsburgh on the Penguins Hockey Network.
During an earlier commercial break, we saw Mario Lemieux having a discussion with Rick Kehoe, a long one after he had scored the goal to give the Penguins the lead, talking about something the Hawks were doing. Rick Kehoe has been a guy who's really concentrated on the power play for the Penguins for the last few years, assistant coach.
Face off left side of the Penguins in. Larmer drags it in deep to the corner. Centers it off to the right point. Now to Chelios. Backhands one towards the goal, and it bounces in. And Barrasso got the glove on that as Ulf Samuelsson knocks down Brian Marchment, the Chicago left winger who's playing up on the wing here tonight.
Well, Marchment is certainly used to the traffic in front of the net because normally he's a defenseman and has to clear guys out of there. So for him to stand in there and bang away is nothing new in front of the goal. Whether or not he can also do that and still find ways to score goals is another thing altogether. Well, Samuelsson had him tied up in front of the net so that Barrasso could glove it, and then Samuelsson dumped him. Nothing called against Dolphy.
Trottier, equal strength now here of both clubs. It goes to Larmer, and he belts one that'll be blocked. The Penguins come up with it. Ronnie Francis with Yager and Trottier at the moment. They dish it off to Yager, who has scored here in this first period. Yarmer dancing with that puck around Larmer. Goes against Kravchuk, got around him, goes behind the net now, trying to ward off the checks. Feed it over with the pass to Ulf Samuelsson, too far. And it goes right through traffic all the way to the Penguins here. Samuelsson will lead it up to Trottier, back to the Chicago zone. He comes in and puts a backhander on. That's stopped by Dominic Hasek, the Chicago goaltender, with his glove down, and he makes the save. And play his whistle down. We'll get a face-off in the Chicago zone. Chelios and Trottier now having a pretty good discussion.
Well, when Samuelsson got the puck in his own end, he looked up, and Yager was starting to wheel again at center ice, looking down that right wing. And Samuelsson went to Trottier. He kind of took Chelios with him, Yager did, and Samuelsson was able to find Trottier right up the middle. This was before that, when Yager went in on the rush on the right wing and went around the net, took Kravchuk with him. Had a couple of Hawks chasing him, as well as Larmer, but when he finally did dish it off, it was into no man's land. Trottier got that chance because of a good pass by Samuelsson, and Yager's just getting attention from guys even when he doesn't have the puck.
And I'll tell you who got some attention that time after it was all done was Chris Chelios, because Brian Trottier, who can agitate as well as any of them, got over right in his face. And they started going. Then Loney came over and said something to him, and Stevens came over and said something to Chris Chelios. So they're aware of what's going on. And Trottier is the type of guy that will rattle you pretty good with the words. And here in the near side of the Chicago end, Chelios hung in there, and he was barking back at Trottier. And Roberts going to get it in the Penguin zone. Swinging around to the far side. Stevens looks for it. Noonan put a good Check into him to force him off the puck, and it goes back behind the net. Murphy lost in front. A good play by Justin Lemieux, but he can't beat Barrasso. Oh, an excellent play by Lemieux of the Hawks. But a front shot scored. Hat-trick for Dirk Graham. We're tied at 3. Pretty pass out of the corner, and Dirk Graham right on the doorstep. Bangs it home as the Hats come on the ice here. And we've got a 3-3 game in the first period.
Well, the Hawks said today that they wanted to get more plays side to side, making traffic in front of Tom Barrasso and also getting him to move from one post to the other. Plays going back and forth, and boy, they've been able to do that. Graham has been able to hammer a couple of shots in from right on the doorstep with passes coming in through that goal mouth area. He's had easy pickings, wide open off to the side of the net against Barrasso. Noonan with a good play. Lemieux went after him, but not quickly enough, and Graham was wide open behind the defenseman, Larry Murphy.
So Dirk Graham gets the hat trick here in the first period of the Chicago Blackhawks and tied the game at 3. I tell you, when a guy gets hot, you got to get him the puck, and they're doing that for Graham, and he pokes it in to tie the game. 16-18, the time of the goal.
Barrasso played the pass and really was unable to break up the pass. He went over to play a shot on the play as it came right through the goal mouth. He just could not react quickly enough to the pass coming through and get a stick on that. So he had to be forced to make a save on Graham, which was impossible. Give Noonan credit for making a hard pass through that goal mouth, and Barrasso just couldn't get a stick on it to break it up.
Well, there's a hat here, and possibly one that was given out to people or they bought, and they have just littered the entire ice surface here at Chicago with hats for the hat trick. We'll be back. 3-3 the score on the Penguins Hockey Network. Being an even hockey game. We start again. Dirk Graham, the former North Star, getting his 7th playoff goal and the hat trick. I'm not sure if he's ever had one in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but if he hadn't, he's picked up one now. And here comes Lemieux with the Penguins, looking right wing to Rick Tocchet. Tocchet comes in, he'll shoulder Marchment, the puck behind the net. Stevens has a shooter right to Hasek. He'll make the save on Kevin Stevens. Now the near side, Lemieux reaches in. Can he get to it? Dirk Graham gets the puck, and Tocchet's after him. And spinning Chelios around is Kevin Stevens. And the Hawks get it, and they clear it up in the air, and it bounces back to Penguin real estate. Larry Murphy being chased by Dirk Graham. Stevens of Pittsburgh finds Tocchet. Ripping to the right wing side, but Lemieux is not there, and Kravchuk hauls it in for the Chicago Blackhawks. Giving the puck to Brent Sutter. Brian Marchment of Chicago took it from him, but he lost it. Now Lemieux takes over, going to Tocchet. Look ahead, Stevens behind the defense, walks in, got a chance, shoots. Oh, he missed the net. He had Hasek down, but he couldn't find the cage. I don't know if Hasek got a stick on that shot by Stevens or not. It just appeared that he shot it over the crossbar. Ulf Samuelsson of Pittsburgh on the play to Lemieux. Down the right wing, 2-on-1 with Tocchet. Lemieux comes in. Tocchet goes to the net. He's right in front. His backhander, but sticked away by goaltender Hasek as he got that stick out, able to stick it away. Now the right point. Murphy of the Penguins looks in front, and Lemieux can't take the pass. Chelios after him, and Chelios hits him with a shoulder. Back behind the goal. Tocchet is pulled down by Brent Sutter, and play goes on. Brent Sutter got hit in the face, and he got cut as they went down. Here come the Hawks and Igor Kravchuk. Back to the Penguins in, and he shoots it wide of the net, and the Penguins pick it up, and the game opens up right now. Jimmy Pack to Sean McEachran. McEachran to the right side. A little different style here against the Hawks, and McEachran shoots it. The save made. Off the left wing boards. Phil Bourque of the Penguins lost it. Here's a 3-on-2 with Chicago. They get 3-on-3. McEachran got back. Roenick into the Penguins in. Left side. Turns, looking, passing to Goulet. And Goulet can't shoot it. The Penguins go the other way. Ronnie Francis looking to McEachran. McEachran on the right side, but Francis carries it in, and he shoots it right to the side of the net. Hasek will make the stop, and now Francis is hit by Rod Busquets and knocks him down. Roenick shouldered by Phil Bourque. Play goes on. McEachran up the left side. Roenick knocked down Bourque, put back in front of the net, and that's knocked aside. Michel Goulet on to Jeremy Roenick. Scoot to the near side of the Penguins into Goulet, and his slap shot partially blocked. Here from the near wing, Yager picks it up. We're in an old-fashioned shootout right now in game 4. Here's Bourque, left side, comes down. His shot blocked. Yager's after it. And picking up the puck will be Jeremy Roenick. Yager knocked down. He and Smith collide as they both go down. And Roenick's going to put it into the Penguins in. The Penguins snap it there, and here they come in the counterattack again. Loney right side, Chicago, and shoots it. Hasek the save and the rebound. Cleared up to Dirk Graham, who scored all 3 Chicago goals in the first period. 1:07 left. They clear it deep into the Penguins in. Jocelyn Lemieux trying to beat Murphy to the puck. And Murphy will get it up ahead now to Trottier. A bursting Yager comes back one-on-one against Kravchuk. Into the zone. Left to Ferloni on the left side. Now to Yager again, the Penguin winger. Off to Murphy between the circles. Going to Trottier, right wing side. Shoots it. It was wide. All around the left boards. It's picked up by Dirk Graham and a breaking Jocelyn Lemieux. Into the Penguins end. Trying to beat Trottier. Shoots with a backhander. That save is made. And the pinch. Trottier clears it into the crowd. Great action here. In game 4, they go end to end, and we're tied at 3 still. That's Dirk Graham's first career playoff hat trick. Well, it can be a 1-0 hockey game or one like this, and that's the beauty of hockey, believe me. You never know what to expect or what's going to happen. Now we're just in an old-fashioned shootout at the moment, and it's just a matter of seeing who's going to score the next goal. Brett Sutter and Brian Trottier in the discussion here with the referee, Andy Van Hellemond. And these are the guys that are earning their money right now, Van Hellemond, Scapinello, and also Swede Knox, because they have to keep up with the pace of these young guys who are going end to end. Jocelyn Lemieux stopped by Barrasso as he broke in alone, and then Trottier cleared it off and was able to make the save. Sutter colliding with the Penguins' Rick Tocchet, knocked Tocchet down, and then Tocchet came back and he got the stick up into his face. Tocchet looked around. He wanted a penalty for cross-checking, being knocked down, and the stick came back around and it caught Sutter right in the face. But Van Hellemond, I don't think, saw either play. There's Graham's pass. What a game he's had so far. Dirk Graham and Jocelyn Lemieux. Denied by Tom Barrasso. And there was Graham again looking for the rebound. Boy, those are games, and you don't know the outcome of this one, but you remember games like this as a pro. And Graham's having one of those big ones. That was a holding call. You see Sutter knock him down, and the stick came up and caught him. In the Penguin zone with 32 seconds left here in the first period. They muscle one another trying to get to that loose puck. Dirk Graham against Paul Stanton. Brett Sutter with the Hawks, who had their scoring leave them, have battled back here and tied the game 3-3, and Graham now and Stanton have a little exchange as they tie it up on the far side of the Penguin zone. The twos are wild here now as time runs out in this first period. 22.2 seconds left. By the way, the minor officials working tonight's game are from Toronto. Game 5, if necessary, will be at the Civic Arena on Wednesday night. Game 6 will be played in Chicago on Saturday if it's needed. And then the 7th and deciding game would be played at Pittsburgh on Monday night. A week from tonight. They should go 7th. And jammed around the glass, around to the near side. Chelios trying to get around Lemieux. Game tied at 3. And Stanton battling against Brent Sutter. 11 seconds left. The Hawks keep the pressure on in the Penguin zone. What you want to do is just try and get it out of the area if you can. The Hawks dig for it, and Graham shouldered by Ulf Samuelsson, and off the puck he goes, and the period will end. And we are right where we started. We are all tied. It's pretty good hockey. Both clubs getting goals in that first period. And if you like scoring in the Stanley Cup playoffs, we had a lot of it there in the 20 minutes of action. We'll return. The game tied Pittsburgh and Chicago at 3 on the Penguins Hockey Network. Well, it's just like we started at 7:42. That's the time they officially listed the game to start here, Chicago time. And we start the second period at 8:51, and it's a brand new game. It's 3-3. And Stanton of the Penguins from the face-off. Penguins moving right to left, shoots it off the boards and up into Chicago territory. Igor Kravchuk being pressured by Tocchet. They'll collide, and the puck lifted around right point, and a shot by the Penguins deflected. Stevens in the corner. Chelios muscles him out of the way and delivers it over to Brent Sutter. Brent Sutter works with Brian Marchment, who plays the left wing on this line, and Dirk Graham. And Graham steps up into the Penguin zone, but he can't get to it. And Samuelsson has drawn kind of an assignment on now. Dirk Graham here. Heavy hit by Tocchet on Kravchuk again back in the Chicago zone, and Chelios peels away. 2 Penguins are trapped. Look out. Here's Graham with 3 goals. All 3 Chicago tallies here in this game. Losing the puck to Shel Samuelsson. Ulf Samuelsson and Lemieux bursting back into the Chicago end. Drop pass to Kevin Stevens. In front got a man Tocchet, and he can't ram it home. Now Stevens in the corner sends it right in front. Here's Tocchet right there. He shoots and a score. The Penguins take the lead. Rick Tocchet, I think, got it off the glove of Dominik Hasek, and the Penguins have regained the lead. They lead 4-3. Oh, go ahead, make my day. Rick Tocchet in front. Hasek, I think, got a piece of it, Paul, but he was able to get it by him. And the Penguins regain the lead 58 seconds into period number 2.
Well, Lemieux and Tocchet and Stevens were on the ice for all of Graham's goals in the first period. And so were Robertson Murphy. So what the Penguins did was go back with Stanton and Ulf Samuelsson on the ice with those three to start the game, the period I should say, and then they took Paul Stanton off and put Kjell Samuelsson on. And this line made something happen with Tocchet all alone in front. He was able to really rag the puck for a moment in front of Hasek, pull him down. He did stop the first shot, but he got the second one and put it in to make it 4-3.
So Rick Tocchet, who already has had the highest mark of playoff streak, he assisted on a goal in the first period, now has reached 10 games in a row. Noonan with the puck brings it back into the Penguins end, and Brian Noonan will leave it in the corner for Jeremy Roenick. Rick Tocchet giving Pittsburgh the lead. Lemieux will assist on it also. We know that. Possibly Kevin Stevens. Now Francis delivered near side to Phil Bourque, and he is hit heavily on a check, and the right side of the zone is shot to the net, and Barrasso is able to glove that and hold on to it. Tocchet's goal for the Penguins, his 6th in the playoffs. And Lemieux and Stevens do assist on the goal, and the Penguins have the lead 4-3.
Well, Rick Tocchet first made his presence really felt in that Penguin lineup in a game here in Chicago in March. It was the night his jaw was broken. Lemieux shot the puck and right off his face. He came out and scored 2 goals in the third period with a broken jaw. And the Blackhawks were actually throwing elbows at him and everything, knowing that he had been hurt.
Tocchet scores so many of his goals just like he did there. Right in front, and he just seems to get enough on the shot to beat the goaltender. You know, where it rolls off of him, he'll clean get a play right in front. He just overpowers you with that quick shot.
And you saw there that he has the patience too, Mike, to take his time, to wait for the goaltender to go down. He doesn't get over anxious when he gets the puck in front with a good scoring opportunity, and that's the sign of a true goal scorer, and he has become one throughout the course of his career.
Brian Noonan steps up into the Penguins end, but McEachran strips him of the biscuit. It goes on to center. Kravchuk giving the puck over to Brian Noonan, and he'll ram it to the Penguins end. Larry Murphy comes after the puck. Dirk Graham stepped in. He got it out to the left point to Kravchuk, and Kravchuk colliding with Ronnie Francis. Spins it back into the corner. Taken out of the play is Noonan by McEachran. Good defensive work by McEachran, but not out. Here's Kravchuk shooting right to the net. Stopped by Barrasso, and he covers to his knees to hold on. 4-3 Pittsburgh on the Penguins Hockey Network. And Ronnie Francis against Brent Sutter. Dirk Graham out here for the Hawks. Their second power play chance here in the second period. And Mario Lemieux runs into Marchment and forced the puck back to the Chicago line.
Good play by Lemieux. He did not worry about the puck. He just tied up Marchment so that he couldn't play it, and out it went.
Chelios and Marchment will be the point men right now. Steve Smith not seen as much action on the power play for the Hawks in the last couple of games. At the point, Graham lost it to Ulf Samuelsson, and he'll wind it back to center red. Marchment turns it over to Chris Chelios, and Chelios, good pass over to Marchment, left wing to Brent Sutter, off his stick. Murphy has it for the Penguins, wristed up but not out. Hit the stick of one of the Hawks, and they keep it in. High stick, they're going to bring it back into the Chicago zone. When you've got a power play, the extra man on, if you high stick it in the offensive zone, and that brings it all the way back into your own territory, and you're penalized for that.
And Lemieux was so aware of that he just kept cruising all the way back towards the Chicago zone, never even worried about it. He knew that the whistle was coming, and he knew that the play was going to go back into the Chicago zone.
A minute 25 left in the Penguin penalty to Rick Tocchet. The shots, Pittsburgh out shooting Chicago 14-13 in this game. The Hawks have outshot Pittsburgh 5-2. The Penguins have the only goal, though, by Rick Tocchet. His 6th of the playoffs from Lemieux and Stevens at 58 seconds into the period. And the Penguins lead by 1. And Brian Noonan, the hand of the draw against Ronnie Francis. A pair of number 10 step in. And Marchment carries it back in behind the Chicago net. And he'll swing to the right of his goaltender, Dominik Hasek, who replaced Eddie Belfour in the first period. And the Hawks steer it to the Penguins in, but Murphy cranks it up and shoots it up ice. And so the Hawks have to go back and take possession one more time. And a quick-moving Jeremy Roenick finding Michel Goulet. Goulet wristed to the Penguins in. Ulf Samuelsson played it up off a stick and into the seats. And the face-off will be called for in the Penguins' end to the left of Tom Barrasso, and the dot in the circle here to the near side, 25 feet away from Tommy.
Penguins have done a great job of forcing the Hawks to dump it in, and then having their first defenseman back just kind of go right to the correct spot on those caroms off the boards, and they've been beating the forwards to the pucks in those situations and able to get them out most of the time. Well, Samuelsson that time getting back onto the puck before one of the Hawks could get to it. Roenick was the first man in trying to get to it, and Samuelsson beat him to the puck.
The Lemieux, Tocchet, Stevens line has been a big part of this game for the Penguins so far. Right now, though, they're faced with almost a full minute more left in the penalty. To Rick Tocchet. And Lemieux and Francis step on. Noonan's waved out, and Jeremy Roenick now in the near circle to go against Francis. And pull back, and Ronnie Francis wins the face-off, and Larry Murphy just wheels it on edge right to the Chicago line. Igor Kravchuk. This is it over to Roenick, and Roenick snapped a bit on the play. Francis lost a stick. He heads to the bench immediately, and Bob Airey's going to replace him. It was a good, smart move by Francis. When you lose that stick, you're away from it. Go to the bench. Get somebody else on. Kravchuk, particularly where the puck was. Back in the Chicago zone. Airey has it on Lemieux. 1-on-2 to the Chicago zone against Chelios and Kravchuk. Long shot by Lemieux. He puts it right on net. He'll go to the bench, and Hasek makes the save, and here come the Hawks. Stepping up in the play with a man advantage. Chelios who can fly into the Penguins' end. Check from behind by Bob Airey. He caught him. And Bourque takes the puck and sweeps it all the way back into the Chicago zone. Bob Airey with a great burst of speed to catch the very quick-moving Chris Chelios. Chelios turning up to Mike Hudson. Hudson hasn't seen a lot of ice time here tonight for the Hawks, and they're offside of the Hawks entering the Penguins' end.
Chelios with the speed that he has, but as soon as he slowed up to shoot the puck, do something with it, Bob Airey never slowed down, was able to come in and just pick his pocket. He stripped the puck right off his stick, and Phil Bourque made a good play to get it out.
Well, the Hawks now change up here, but only 6 seconds remain on the Pittsburgh penalty.
Chelios was in San Diego, California as a young player, and a friend of his saw him on the beach one day and told him to call up Moose Jaw. They had an opportunity up there. He could go up there and play maybe. They said there was an opening there, and he went up, played, and the rest is history. Went on to college, had a great career at Wisconsin, and then became a Montreal Canadian and is a Norris Trophy winner.
And Shel Samuelsson banging up the boards. Rod Busquets has it for the Blackhawks. Trying to get into the Penguin zone, and he can't do it. The penalty has expired. Tocchet races to the bench, and the Penguins put Jaromir Jagr out. So they got Trottier, Loney, and Jagr as a trio.
And by the way, Chelios was born in Chicago, so he's playing now right here in his hometown.
Shel Samuelsson got that cleared, and the left side, though, picked up by Stu Grimson, and we have an offside call. He got that puck out and carried back in by Chicago.
Copyrighted telecast is presented by the Penguins and is intended for the private use of our viewing audience. Any rebroadcast or retransmission of this telecast or any use of the descriptions, pictures, or accounts of this game without the express written consent of Pittsburgh Hockey Associates is strictly prohibited. Well, Mike Keenan was with the Philadelphia Flyers in '87 when they were down 3-1 to the Edmonton Oilers. Came back and forced the 7th game. And he talked about that team today. He said that was the youngest team in pro sports at the time, and it was. This is a little different, he said, in Chicago, because we've got some older guys who have been in a situation like this before where they've been faced with elimination and have come back. Brent Sutter did it when his team was down 2-0 in a best-of-5 series when he was with the Islanders. But the last team to come back from a 3-0 deficit in the Stanley Cup Finals was the Toronto Maple Leafs of 1942 against the Detroit Red Wings.
And only 2 times in Stanley Cup playoff history has a team been able to come back. Here are the Hawks and the Penguins in, and a shot deflected overall in the playoffs. And the only other time, here's Jagr trying to get in. Busquets swept it away from him. The Penguins were involved in that situation, losing the Islanders. Here's Pack Lift point firing off Hasek's stick and up into the seats. In '75, the Penguins had a 3-0 lead over the Islanders, and then lost 4 straight to get eliminated. And I've talked about this, ironically, that in that series with the Penguins losing it, then the Islanders went on in the next series to play the Philadelphia Flyers. Flyers were to win the Cup that year, and they lost the first 3 games to the Flyers and won the next 3 and forced a 7th game again against Philadelphia before the Flyers won.
And that was really the beginning of the Islander dynasty. That was when they started to really realize that they had an opportunity to become a great team. And then they, of course, went on and won 4 Stanley Cups. Jeremy Roenick played his minor hockey, Bantam hockey, in New Jersey. The New Jersey Rockets was the name of the team, and then he moved to Boston so that he could play up there at Thayer Academy, and he played on the line with Tony Amonte of the Rangers.
Here's Samuelson now shooting the puck right to the net and off Hasek's glove. Number 31, the Chicago goaltender. And on to center. Grabbed now by McEachran. We get an offside call against the Penguins entering the Chicago zone. Interestingly, so many players from the Boston area, and you talked about Roenick, but he and Kevin Stevens know each other real well. And they play golf a lot during the summer, so a lot of these guys from the Boston area, including that guy, Sean McEachran, all know one another. They kind of grew up around hockey and played against one another and are friends.
And Pierre Maguire, who's actually from just outside of Montreal, wound up running hockey schools in the Boston area for years, and he had a lot of these guys when they were about 15 years old. He knows them real well.
McEachran steps up to center now with Bourque and Yager. So Yager taking off the Trottier line as they watch the Hawks steer it to the Penguins in 4-3. It goes over to Mateau, and his heavy shot blocked, and he picks a whack at McEachran. Play continues off the left wing side, and Goulet put it behind the net. Noonan can't come up with it. Phil Bourque of the Penguins has it, and he trickles it off the sideboards and back to Chicago territory. Dominic Hasek, the Chicago goaltender, lets Kravchuk take it. 11:03 left here in the second period. The Penguins are leading 4-3 in Game 4. They led 1-0. Were tied. They led 2-1. They were tied again. Led 3-2, and the Hawks came back to tie them. And Tocchet put them ahead in the second period. We've had no other scoring besides that goal. Murphy to the Chicago end. Spin it to the right wing corner. Lemieux shoots it towards the net. Mateau got his leg on that. Here come the Hawks now stepping up, but they can't get anything going. And wristed back to the Penguin goal, and Barrasso will leave it for Gordy Roberts. Roberts could not get it out. Chelios in deep, put it in front to center, and his shot on top of the stick of Barrasso made a key save on Brent Sutter there. Yager's pass to Lemieux, one man to beat Steve Smith. Lemieux takes the puck into the Chicago and makes a move on Smith, comes down, backdoor pass to Stevens. Oh, what a save by Hasek on Kevin Stevens. That might be the save of the night as Dominic Hasek stopped Kevin Stevens on a brilliant move by Lemieux. But Hasek denying Kevin Stevens. And the Penguins stay on top by just one. Mario Lemieux put Mr. Smith again on that highway going to Milwaukee.
Smith was sure that he was going to continue to drive to the net. He slammed on the brakes and cut inside of him, and then made an unbelievable behind-the-back drop pass to Kevin Stevens. Lemieux must have eyes on the back of his head. Stevens probably yelled for that puck. Barrasso had made a big save with his stick earlier against Sutter, and then watch the save by Dominic Hasek. I think he gets his stick across to stop the shot by Kevin Stevens. Lemieux faked the shot first, right between the legs to Kevin Stevens, and Hasek got over, and I think he got the butt end of his stick on that shot. I think he went off the shaft of his stick.
You know what? I don't even know if he hit it. I don't even know if he touched the puck. I thought he did. It might have gone just wide of the net. As I look at the replay on the TV side, that shot may have just missed the net. It sure looked like he got a piece of it from up here, didn't it, Paul? I mean, it really did, but I'm not positively can say with authority that that's what happened. Of course, the monitor we're working with is about 1/4 of the size of any TV set you folks have at home, so you got a better look at it than we do, believe me. And you're probably screaming, yeah, you got it, but I don't know. Here's Stevens to the near side, over to Tocchet. Steps into the Chicago end. He'll play to the right wing corner, and now Lemieux shoulders Marchment away from the puck. Mario right point to Shel Samuelson. He'll shoot it and deflect it. Steve Smith to the Hawks. Gets it ahead to Brent Sutter, and his pass cut out by Jimmy Pack, the Penguin defenseman, and Pack is hit by Busquets. Lifted back in behind the Chicago goal. And the Chicago Blackhawks lead it ahead to Larmer. On to Brent Sutter. 1-on-2 to the Penguins end. Looking for Goulet on the left wing. Goulet is hit hard by Jimmy Pack, and off the puck he goes. Stevens around the boards. Can he clear it out? He can. It goes off the referee. Van Helleman to Goulet in front to Larmer. Larmer turned around by Stan. Good play by Stan to take him into the corner and away from that puck. Now Goulet whacking away at Jimmy Pack. But Tocchet has the puck, played up the glass, gets his own pass back and clears it around. Did it come out of the zone? It did. The Penguins will carry it out though, and that stops any offside call. They give it away to Chelios of Chicago, and he'll lead it right wing to Dirk Graham. Graham into the Penguins in, crisscross with Noonan, a slap shot blocked by Pack. Pack's been on a long time. The Penguins trying to get it out. Stan was up in it. Here's Francis back now with Yager 2-on-1. They get 2-on-2 as Larmer gets back. Francis trying to feed Yager. He was up in it as he let the pass go. Grabbed by the Hawks, and they come up, but they're 2-on-2, and they're passed too far. Larry Murphy gets the puck to Bob Harry. Harry with a giveaway to Chelios, but he coughed it right back up. Will he get it again? Graham tried, but Murphy poked it away, picked his pocket. On the right wing, Francis to the Chicago into Murphy, down low with a shot, and Hasse comes diving out to make the save, and has it there, and right in on that net. A big jam up as Larry Murphy is in around that goal.
And once again, a cheap shot in on Larry Murphy as he was upended and landed on Hasek. One of the Hawks came in and gave him a shot. I think it might have been Chelios again, giving Murphy a shot after he had fallen down on top of the goaltender.
8:28 to go in the second period. The Penguins 4 and the Hawks 3. And they jam it up a little bit behind the Chicago net. I think they'll cool that down. We'll return on the Penguins Hockey Network. Pittsburgh 4, Chicago 3, 6:05 left second period. And they drop it back to the left point. Here's Kravchuk, right side to Rod Buskus of the Blackhawks. Shoots it in behind the Pittsburgh goal. Shale Samuelson went after it, deflected over to the near corner. Loney of Pittsburgh trying to get a handle. Pack behind his own net, does take the puck, but Robbie Brown got a piece of him and turns him around with a solid hit. But the Penguins able to steer it back to center circle. Recapturing the puck will be Rod Buskus. Number 25 for the Hawks to Robbie Brown. So the two former Penguins are out here on this foursome for the Hawks. Jimmy Pack, though, takes it off to the right side of McEachran, bursting down that right wing, and he's got speed and trying to get around Kravchuk. Put it in front. Loney's there, and he can't shoot it. He was too well covered. The Hawks go the other way. Boy, McEachran's been a force in the second period for the Penguins. He is playing well. Buskus on the right side shoots it down the boards and around to the left wing corner of the Penguin zone. Stu Grimson trying to get to it. Grimson has yet to register a playoff goal. Now he lost the puck, and Ulf Samuelson comes up. Yager's back on. Chelios stepped into him, and on to center ice the puck goes. The Hawks regain it and shoot it in behind the Penguin net. Parasso got it by Hudson with a good maneuver there with his stick. And here around Chelios, the puck lifted back to center ice. You just have that feeling right now that sooner or later the Penguins are going to get a chance on another breakaway or 2-on-1. The way things are going. Here's Yager losing the puck though on a giveaway to Goulet, and he'll shoot it wide of the Penguin cage. Stanton being pressured by Mike Hudson. Goulet has the puck. Force over to the right point. The Hawks are really pressuring right now, trying to get a tying goal here. Chelios at center. His lead pass too far for Goulet. Goulet went to the corner. He's turned and knocked off his skates by Francis, and play is whistled down as Ronnie Francis went in to get it, but I think it's going to be called back here on an icing call against the Chicago Blackhawks, and that is the call.
McEachran is just turning on the Jets tonight on that right wing, and again protecting the puck on the off wing, dishing it in front, and Loney was tied up by Robbie Brown playing defense for the Hawks. Remember all the criticism of him and the way he plays D? Well, that time he had Loney tied up, and Loney couldn't get the shot away. Remember the other night when McEachran dished one in like that in front, and Bourque was not in the right spot to take the pass. And now guys are starting to realize that they've got to get to the net when Sean McEachran steams down that right side, because he's going to get the puck out in front.
And he does have a tendency to favor that right side and work off of that, just as Roenick has a tendency to favor the left side when he comes down. Jeremy Roenick.
There's the organ with 1 million stops and the noise of 25 brass bands. And the pipes are built right into the rafters here, and there's a guy upstairs that has to open the louvers of this building or the place would rattle. It takes 2 people to run that organ. And they're not going to be able to move it to the new building down the street, because it would cost them about $1 million to do it.
Ronnie Francis winning the faceoff. Left point, Gordy Roberts will take a slap shot that missed the target. And Jeremy Roenick of the Hawks looking for Brian Noonan. Noonan, Gilbert on either side now for Jeremy Roenick. Gilbert comes on to Roenick, shooting it front, deflected in! The Hawks have tied it. Brian Noonan, it was off his body and deflected by Barrasso. Tommy knew it immediately. He didn't even have to wait for the light to come on. I think it hit Noonan in the chest, or Noonan in the chest, and went in. The game is tied. Unless it hit a Penguin defenseman, that might be a possibility. But the Hawks tie it.
Noonan dumped it to the corner. Roberts had a tough time turning to get back and get it. Phil Bourque was there before Roberts was, and then he was out of position when Roenick got to it. And Noonan had position on Larry Murphy as well and was able to deflect that in. Gordy Roberts just got caught betwixt and between on that play. And you're talking all night early about the fact that the Penguin defense has been able to get back and get on the puck, but that time Roberts was not able to get there. Bourque was there, and then Roberts could not help him out because he was cheating in also to try to get to the puck.
There are the Hawks now, and Marchment shooting the biscuit stop. Rebound, he puts it on, and Barrasso stops that one too. It's all Chicago right now. They've come on strong here in the second period. Steve Smith will whack it around to the near boards. And Stevens of Pittsburgh is after it. Shot him up the arm of Rick Tocchet. Steve Smith has the puck as he falls down and gets it and guns it right back into the Penguin zone. A bouncing biscuit controlled by Barrasso. Rolf Samuelsson. Lead it up to Kevin Stevens. Looks for a breaking Lemieux behind Chelios. Lemieux to the left side. Comes against Hasek. Shoots it and he stopped him with a stick. Lemieux is decked by Steve Smith and play will continue. Steve Smith taking Lemieux down.
I don't know what game Andy's watching.
Here comes Larmer. Drilling one right to the goal on that stop. And now Tocchet is upended by Jocelyn Lemieux. 3:35 left here in the second period. Pittsburgh 4, Chicago 4 on the Penguins Hockey Network. Well, they've given that goal to Jeremy Roenick when it seemed to me that Brian Noonan was the man that whacked it in right in front of the goal.
Lemieux drifting to his left. He tried to sneak that one in and went off the stick of Hasek, and then Smith finished him off.
You know what he tried to do? He tried to decoy Hasek to make him think he was going to the slot area. He gave him that little look off and then tried to beat him, but Hasek would have no part of it. Now we're tied at 4 here in the second period. 3:23 left. And Igor Kravchuk puts it up in the atmosphere to the Penguins end. Brian Noonan comes up with the puck. Going to Buskus, and it went right by a stick. Roddick come over to the right point to take it. Slipping it behind the net. Roenick might get a little burst of confidence now after helping set up that goal. It's his first point of the playoffs against the Penguins in this series. Roenick into his own end. Runs into his own man, but Buskus back to take control of it. Buskus in front of his own goal. Skating hard on the left side. Comes out. And swings it down the boards into the Penguin zone. This will be an icing call against Chicago with 2:53 left. The shots are dead even at 20 apiece. And the game is dead even at 4 apiece here in the second period.
Well, Mike Keenan said today that Brian Noonan is pretty nifty around the net, and he wanted to get him in position and hope that they could get plays across Barrasso. And once again, Roenick able to put it across the goal mouth to Noonan. And Roenick gets the goal, but it sure appeared as though Noonan got his stick on it last.
Now Roenick's line will come back on here now with Stefan Matteau and Steve Larmer. Bobby Brown and Dirk Graham come off the ice. And Trottier, Bourque, and Yager will be a trio for Coach Scotty Bowman.
Brian Noonan scored 38 goals last year at Indianapolis, and that puck appeared to go off the skate of Larry Murphy and into the net.
I think it hit
never
his
did touch it.
I think it hit him in the butt.
backside?
Yeah. And deflected in. Barrasso knew it right away. I mean, the way he sighted, he didn't have to wait for the light to go on. It was one of those, I can't believe it, but that's what happened. And Chelios shoots it after the whistle sounded here, and an offside call against Chicago. Chelios and Bourque have a couple of words now. Lemieux's unit steps back on, so Trottier comes off, and the Penguins put Lemieux, Stevens, and Tocchet on. Mario's got a goal and an assist here tonight, or 2 assists for the Penguins. Well, he's had a 3-point night against the Blackhawks, 34 in the series, playoff series overall. And leads everybody in that department. Chelios right from the draw, slam it to the Penguin net, stop, rebound goes to Graham, he shoots it. And that's stopped by Barrasso. Dirk Graham has 3 of the 4 Chicago goals. Roenick has the other as he drilled it off the backside of Larry Murphy, it appeared. Barrasso stopping that. The momentum here in the second half of this period has definitely belonged to Chicago.
Marchment really decked Rolf Samuelsson. That was after he decked him. Samuelsson going down, the shot coming up where Barrasso could see it, and then he had to pounce down on top of it before Marchment could get to it. Now, Marchment can hit too, and when you have him up front, he's going to cause some problems for those Penguin defense and forwards.
Pretty good hockey player. Larmer to the right point. Chelios again. He's their trigger man. He walks right in. Look out. His wrist shot partially deflected. It went behind the net of Marchment. Marchment centers it, and it comes right to Tocchet. Out to Lemieux with Francis now as they race to the Chicago line. Lemieux trying to split the defense. He couldn't keep the puck, though. It's off Hasek now to the right point. Murphy in front to Lemieux. Lemieux has that puck, but it was an offside call against the Penguins. Murphy touched that one way outside. Well, Lemieux got the puck around that net and pulled the trigger. Must have been a late whistle. Talking to Van Hellemond, somebody must have been late on blowing the whistle on the offside play.
No, I just don't think he heard it because Lemieux was so far down by the net where the whistle blew up by the blue line. He just didn't hear it in this noisy Chicago stadium. Murphy shot that puck from about 6 feet outside the blue line.
Well, Mario Lemieux has figured in on 3 of the 4 Penguin goals. Jaromir Jagr had the opening tally of this hockey game. 1 minute 37 seconds into the first period. And now we're tied at 4. And Rod Busquets brings it through to center. On to the Pittsburgh end, and Ulf Samuelsson bouncing away up the sideboards back into Chicago territory. And the Hawks have command of it, and they bring it on to center circle. Busquets will shoot it in off the glove of Larry Murphy, and Murphy returns, shouldered by Brian Noonan. Stevens finding Tocchet. Lemieux wanting the puck, and he gives it to him at the Chicago line, but Kravchuk lost it. Now in front, here's Lemieux. In and goes back in, or stopped by Hasek. Great save again by Dominic Hasek on Mario Lemieux. And he gave more moves than Mae West on that one, but Hasek again continues to sparkle to stop Mario Lemieux. Now the Hawks come back on the rush, and here's Jocelyn Lemieux to the Penguins end, right side of Graham. His shot blocked by Ulf Samuelsson. It comes around to Brian Noonan, left wing boards. Lemieux has had a couple of key chances against Dominic Hasek, but he has been spectacular in stopping Lemieux, particularly on the stick hand side. Mario's going to have to give him a little different look. Here's Lemieux again. He got around Chelios, knocked down though. Feed it ahead to Stevens, and a great play around Hasek, and Hasek challenges him to come out and knock it away. Dominic Hasek, another big goaltending effort to stop Kevin Stevens as Lemieux went diving to make the play to Stevens, and Dominic Hasek gambled and gambled right, and he does not allow Stevens a breakaway chance. Here with the Hawks, right side. Roenick now in the Penguins' end. Roenick goes over and a pass off Larmer's skates. Lemieux gets it. Now he lost it. Chelios shoots it, blocked by Stevens. And that hurt the Penguin left winger. The Hawks step right back to the Penguin line. Are they onside? Yes, they are as they go into the Penguin zone, but they give it away to Kevin Stevens, and he'll fire that one all the way back to the Chicago zone. Chelios lifted right wing to Steve Larmer of Chicago. His pass off the skate of Ronnie Francis. Steve Smith of the Blackhawks to Roenick on the far side to Chelios. Lemieux has put on the Ritz here in this hockey game, but Dominic Hasek has answered him in the second period. And we're down to 16 seconds left as the Hawks carry to the Penguin near corner. Larmer's pass right by everybody, and it comes all the way back to Chicago territory, and it looks as though we'll go to the third period tied again. An uneven hockey game. Brent Sutter to Steve Larmer. Larmer's slap shot blocked by Ulf Samuelsson, and time runs out. That's the end of 2. We've seen a lot of great action in this game so far, and guess what? We still have a whole lot more to go. Tied at 4 through 2 in Game 4 on the Penguins Hockey Network. On the Foodland Hot Shot contest, Reverend John Campbell of Gibsonia. On the line, $900 worth of groceries. It's Kevin Stevens, Reverend's goal scorer here in the third. So we begin the third period tied, as we have all periods so far. 0-0 to start the first, and then 3-3 at the end of 1, 4-4 at the end of 2. And immediately the Hawks are guilty of an offside play entering the Penguin zone. Dominic Hasek, who replaced Eddie Belfour after the Penguins scored their second goal, was Kevin Stevens, giving the Penguins the lead 2-1 back in the first. An NHL record for the fastest 3 goals in a final series scored here tonight. 30 seconds in the first period. When Dirk Graham scored for the Hawks, Kevin Stevens for Pittsburgh, and Graham again. Graham has the hat trick. All 3 of those goals came in the first period. And Stanton now around the far side of Ulf Samuelsson. This is a Chicago team that so far in this series has not scored a goal in the third period of any of the games to date. And Steve Smith of the Hawks controls the puck. Smith's pass over to Brian Marchment. Marchment lost control of it. Here is a pass by Tocchet to Lemieux against Chelios down the left side. Push it right to the net, and it's stopped by Hasek. Lemieux's given him every look he has, and Dominic Hasek has been able to stop him so far.
Every one of those shots by Lemieux has been a low shot, and he's pretty tough down low with those pads the way he can spread them out. He's probably going to have to beat him up high. Stevens had him beat, but he was able to get that butt end of his stick on the shot by Stevens in the second period.
Dirk Graham now fires it inside the Penguin line, and Jimmy Pack stops the play. Mario Lemieux takes his pass and winds it back into the left wing corner of the Chicago zone. Defensively, Igor Kravchuk of the Hawks passing over to Chris Chelios. On the plate, a Rooney who flies through the alley. Going to Mateau and his shot off of Barrasso. He made the save off his shoulder as he juggled it. Now quartered away in the far wing. McEachran of Pittsburgh trying to clear the puck out. He can't do it right now. The Hawks dig it free. Mateau wind it back in front of Barrasso's going to push it off the boards, but not out. Yes, it did come out. Kravchuk put it into the zone. The Penguins have possession. They get it to the blue line, and the Hawks now can't hold on to it. And McEachran flies down the right wing into the Chicago zone. Drop pass to Yager. Yager in front, got a man there. Francis backhander, shot by Hasek, who made the save on Ronnie Francis on the backhand attempt. And Dominic Hasek is coming up tough in goal for the Chicago Blackhawks.
Ronnie Francis just took a blind backhand shot back towards the net. Hasek was down, and he was able to get his glove on the shot by Ronnie Francis. Pretty much shot it right into that glove, and that was the only resort he had, was to reach out and hope that he would cover enough of the area to stop it if he couldn't lift it, and Francis could not lift the puck, and it went right into his glove. And a great play by Yager to set up Ronnie Francis, cutting across. Hasek really had to move with the pass one way and then flop back the other way with Francis coming in the opposite direction, and he was able to make the save.
Well, if there's one man that might make a difference in this game in the third period, it might be Jaromir Jagr, who has not seen a lot of ice time in this game, but Jaromir has that ability to really turn the Jets on in the final period of regulation. And even looking further ahead, should it end up tied at the end of 60 minutes and then overtime too, because Jagr is that type of player, just seems to get stronger as the game goes along. And the face-off to the left of Dominic Hasek. Here's Francis, McEachran, and Jagr, the trio out. And they lose the face-off this time, and Busquets takes it for the Hawks. Couldn't get it by McEachran. Stuffed around to the near side, and looking forward to Stephane Mateau, winding around the horn. Francis went in against Oscar Lemieux, and the Hawks have possession of the puck. Igor Kravchuk paired out here with Rod Busquets, and they sneak it back to center. Murphy of the Penguins inside his own line. Gets it over to Wolf Samuelsson. Samuelsson trying to find McEachran, but intercepted by the Hawks, and they loft it back up the boards into Pittsburgh territory. In the own end of his ice, it'll be Ulf Samuelsson up to Jagr. Lost the edge of the skate and went down. The Hawks steal. Here's Roenick, left wing of the Penguins in, but he fumbled the puck also. Roenick may be feeling the effects of that bad thumb right now, trying to stick handle. Put it in front. He put the shot on Barrasso. Save made. Jagr pokes it through and back to center ice. And the Hawks again blasted right back in. And we get an an offside call here against Chicago.
Lemieux with that first shot of the period in on Hasek, down low. Mike Keenan takes Hudson off the ice in favor of Robbie Brown, Roenick, and Goulet. And Brown will take the face-off against Brian Trottier. Roenick will not take the face-off with that bad hand.
The Hawks facing elimination, and the Penguins would be winners of the Stanley Cup if Pittsburgh can win here tonight. They lead the series 3-0. Chicago trying to get back into it, and the Penguins trying to clear it all up here tonight in Chicago. And Rob Brown now races through to center ice, going to the Penguin blue line. It's off a leg, and he gets it back and carries it in offside the call. Robbie Brown out on the ice now, playing right wing here with Roenick and Michel Goulet. I just get that feeling that Mike Keenan wants the goal so bad right now, and he is just forcing the issue here with the offense, trying to get that lead. He's trying to take the lead against the Penguins.
We talked today about being fluid on the ice, and they were feeling the pressure in the earlier games, and as a result they weren't fluid, and then the offense wasn't just coming. He said you have an easier touch with the puck when you're feeling relaxed on the ice, and so they just weren't finishing their chances. They had some great ones. He started counting off the chances, and there were some. You look at Dirk Graham's chance shorthanded on a breakaway back earlier in the series, and Roenick and Larmer hit the post, and there were a lot of opportunities that the Hawks didn't finish, but tonight they finished them.
Dirk Graham has the hat trick for Chicago as it's put up over the glass and into the seats. And it's glass here in this building, of course. The Hawks have used the heavy hitting style here the past few seasons. And one thing that the players actually like the boards and the glass here because they give more than other places. They were talking about that, saying that Montreal is one of the toughest places to play with the body because the glass just does not move at all. It just gives no give in it.
Hasek only weighs 165 pounds and he's 5'11", so he's a skinny-looking guy when you see him without his equipment on, and it almost looks like you could shoot the puck through him.
Actually, he's a normal-looking person. Let's put it that way, compared to what These guys are a lot bigger than the average people are. Hasek right there in that net for Chicago. And Yager and the Penguins back on here. He's playing with Bourque and Trottier, but the Hawks take it away, and they wind it down to the near corner with the Penguins in. Trottier look to get it to Yager. Here he goes by one man. Kuchera down the right wing. Here's Yager to the Chicago end. Pulls around. Look, he still has the puck. Goes to Trottier. Shoots it. Hasek to save the rebound. Trottier right in front. Where is it? It's still loose, and Dominic Hasek comes up with it again. And Jaromir Jagr looks at his fellow countryman and kind of shakes his head. He can't believe the Penguins were not able to get it by. He's been superb here tonight for the Blackhawks in a relief role.
Well, Jagr has probably played it with Hasek, and I know that Yuri Hrdina has. There's that stick down on the ice again, just the way Eddie Belfour does it, the way they lunge out with that stick. He was trying to clear it away from Trottier, and his body was down too, and Trotz just couldn't lift it and get it over. And the Penguins are getting their chances against Dominic Hasek. He's seeing the puck well. He's staying back in his crease. He's really not challenging all that much, just using his reflexes.
Face off and shot wide by the Penguins one more time. Tocchet put around the net. Here's Stevens shooting, and it's off the side of the goal. Tocchet goes out to Stanton right side. Paul Stanton shoots it, and he missed the cage. Now Steve Smith upsets Rick Tocchet, and the play continues from the far boards. Steve Larmer unable to clear, but the Hawks will get it to Brent Sutter. And Sutter of Chicago. Turn it over right wing to Chris Chelios, and he'll snap it back in behind the Penguin net. Ulf Samuelsson defensively, looking for Tocchet out ahead of Lemieux, breakaway by Smith. Here he comes, Lemieux in on goal against Hasek. He shoots it, Hasek robs him again. Oh, great balls of fire. Dominic Hasek stopping everything the Penguins are throwing at him. They've loaded up the big truck. They brought it into Chicago, and he's cleaning out all the sinks. He's making some fantastic saves. Lemieux trying to go up high, and Hasek said, not this time either. We'll be back 4-4 on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Normally will Deke try something. He tried to pick the far side on him, and Hasek plucked it out of the air.
Ulf Samuelsson blasting one around the near side. I'll tell you what happens in games like this. Sometimes it's spectacular saves. You keep making them and making them, and then you get kind of a freak goal. And here is Lemieux again with the puck. Lemieux put it in front. Took it. It went right by him as Buskas bounced him around. And here come the Blackhawks on the counterattack. Igor Kravchuk can't handle the puck. And again to center ice. Lemieux wants the biscuit. Going to the Chicago end. Marchment trying to ride him off the puck, and he does. Brian Marchment bouncing up by Ulf Samuelsson into Penguin territory. And Ulf Samuelsson looking for Lemieux. Getting it ahead of the Chicago end. Kravchuk had knocked down Tocchet. And the puck free back into the Chicago zone. But Jeremy Roenick comes out of a traffic jam. Got around Lemieux. Roenick is flying. Great hockey here. Roenick on the right side. Drop pass for Goulet. He can't shoot it now. Turns around. Looking to make a play. And he lost the puck to Lemieux. And here is Tocchet up ahead. Lemieux brings it up 2-on-2 to the Chicago end. Drop pass to Tocchet. Has Murphy open. He's there. His shot went right over the crossbar. Larry Murphy won a game for the Penguins earlier this year on a similar type of shot. Here's Murphy again. Right wing circle. Fires it and he scores. The Penguins take the lead. 5-4. Larry Murphy, I believe, will get the goal. And the Penguins have the lead again. 5-4. Oh, call. Arnold Slick from Turtle Creek. Oh, boy, the Pens just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and Larry Murphy shot it. I believe he'll get the goal, and the Penguins are up by one.
He had an identical opportunity earlier. Mario banged Chris Chelios to the boards, got the puck to Tocchet, who made a great play off the boards to wheel it out to Murphy, and that puck sailed into the net and appeared to hit the stick of Sean McEachern.
It might have hit McEachern on the way in. What'd I tell you? All the great saves, and I may have been deflected in.
And it fluttered in underneath the crossbar.
Larry Murphy gets the goal. McEachern came back. Did you see it better, Paul?
I can't tell if McEachern got a piece of it or not, but it sure seemed to hit something because it fluttered into the net.
Yeah, it did. It did catch a piece of something and went in the net. So the Penguins lead 5-4 here in the third, and Ronnie Francis flips it back to the Chicago line.
Well, was that a great play by Tocchet? Lemieux taking Chelios hard to the boards, making the hit to pop that puck loose.
Jocelyn Lemieux now force it up into the Penguins end, and it comes back in behind the Pittsburgh goal. Larry Murphy gets his sixth goal of the playoffs. Jocelyn Lemieux trying to center. The Hawks have been able to come back at times. Here the right side, a shot towards the net, blocked in front. And Phil Bourque of the Penguins takes it and shoots it up ice. The goal at 4:51. Tocchet has the only assist on it. Larry Murphy is sixth of the playoffs. And Shell Samuelson returning to his own end. Gets it to Jimmy Pack, on to Troy Loney, and bouncing up to Yager. Here he comes to the Chicago end, trying to beat Steve Smith. Yager turn around. They battle for it. Loney gets the puck and shoots it in behind the goal. Nobody is there. Chelios defensively for Chicago. Giving the puck to Greg Gilbert. Gilbert trying to find a breaking Roenick, but the Penguins force it right back into Chicago territory. Now the Penguins trying to protect the lead once again. They're up by 1, 5-4. Jimmy Pack drilling up to the Chicago line, and Chelios comes up with a biscuit. He's on the move, and he'll backhand it away on the carom in behind the Pittsburgh net. Barrasso does not go after it. Robbie Brown draws in front, got a man there, and a quick shot by Roenick. Hit the side of the goal. One of the few times Tommy would not go out and play the puck, and it almost cost him there. Here's Roenick passing beautifully to Chelios. Slap shot, missed the net, rebound. He came up Barrasso and went wide. Now Jimmy Pack of the Penguins sneaking around the boards. Right side, Chelios guns it towards the goal, blocked by Pack. Here come the Penguins on the other. Going the other way is Yager on the right wing, going after the Chicago near corner, and Chelios back, can't find the puck. Neither can Yager.
That was Robbie Brown who almost scored. He actually got the old cue stick out and poked that puck and almost put it in the net.
Still Grapes and pretty pass to Hudson. Penguins in and shot off the stick of Barrasso from 35. Stevens looking to lead it ahead of Lemieux. Intercepted by Kravchuk of Chicago, and it's an old-fashioned shootout here tonight at Chicago Stadium. In Game 4, the Hawks pulling out everything they have and are coming at the Penguins in an offensive way here in this game, and the Penguins lead 5-4. Tocchet, left wing, Lemieux back 2-on-1 with Stevens. Lemieux left side against Busquets, goes to Stevens, and he fanned on the shot from the slot. Now Lemieux behind the net. Mario sets it up, put it right in front of Kravchuk, and it goes right to the goal. And Hasek will grab the puck. Did he hold it long enough? No, it's still loose. We'll keep on going. Now here on the right side, Busquets. And he dumps it ahead, bouncing puck towards the Penguin net, and Shell Samuelson gains possession of it, the Penguin defenseman. His pass all the way to Chicago territory, wide of Hasek, and Chelios will be back to gain the puck. He must have touched that puck, and Smith now skating to center ice for the Blackhawks. Rip it to the right wing corner, Penguin zone. 12-13 left in the third. The Penguins 5 and the Hawks 4. Jimmy Pack of Pittsburgh. The go-ahead goal here in this hockey game in the third period by Larry Murphy. Here's Francis back now with McEachran 2-on-1. Francis comes in, shoots and scores! Ronnie Francis beats goaltender Hasek like a rented mule. He looked off and beat him on the short side, I believe. And the Penguins now lead 6-4. Ronnie Francis looked off on McEachran, and he drills it home from 30 feet, and now Pittsburgh has a 6-4 lead here in the third.
I don't know. You think the Penguins are getting enough odd man breaks in this hockey game?
The Hawks are pressing. They wanted to take the lead so badly, and he beat him right on the short side.
Francis is so good at coming straight at the goaltender and just rifling the puck past him. He does that all the time. He doesn't really deke or anything. He just makes it look simple. He just drills you, overpowers you. McEachran was coming in on that side. He never even looked at him. Forget it.
So the Penguins now have a 6-4 lead here in the third period. Jimmy Pack will get one of the assists. And from center ice, Ron Francis.
I think McEachran gets one also.
All right, we'll wait and get the official announcement on it, but the Penguins now lead by a pair, and so the Hawks have to keep pressuring here and putting the attack on the Penguins because they are down by 2 here in the third period. If the Penguins win, the Stanley Cup stays with the Penguins. If not, a Game 5 will be forced in Pittsburgh on Wednesday night. Now Grimson carries the puck back to the Penguin line, and the Hawks are offside. It is McEachran and Pack on the assist at 7:59. Will return. The Penguins by a pair on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Well, if Larry Murphy ends up with that goal, and it'll be his first goal in 10 games in the playoffs, he saved it for the right time, didn't he? And after all the abuse he has taken in this hockey game.
Well, the Hawks' Jeremy Roenick steps in here, and he'll have an assignment against Brian Trottier. Remember this again, the Hawks have not scored a third period goal in this series to date. And we played almost halfway through this third period. They've not been able to get on the scoreboard. The Penguins have just shut them down in the third period of all the games, at least to this point. Jeremy Roenick of Chicago. And that is a mark of a champion, believe me. Marchment has the puck, and he shoots it towards the net. Mike Keenan talked so much about his Hawks being the best conditioned team in the National Hockey League and how strong they were. And here's Trottier left side going to the Chicago end, comes down, looking for a man in front. It's off now, Murphy stick, and the Penguins are pressing for the kill right now, but the Hawks have command of it. They get it on the center to Jeremy Roenick.
That was a 3-on-1.
And I'm telling you right now, I can just feel the Hawks right now. The life has gone out of them a little bit. Murphy Shoots it back into the left wing corner of the Chicago zone. They're trying to regroup and get it going, but they are having a tough time. Robbie Brown up to the Penguin line, and he shoots it away to the Penguin goal, and Barrasso gloves it. Winding over to the corner. Lemieux has the puck, and he swings it off the sideboards and back down to center red. Steve Smith had it, but he lost it. And here's Stevens to the right wing. Lemieux with a little open space comes down. He pushes it wide. The Hawks are giving Pittsburgh a lot of room in this third period, and they're taking advantage of it with the goal scorers they have and the people to make plays. And the Hawks lose it again. Here's Lemieux to the Chicago in a slap shot, blocked by Chelios. And it's off Chelios' body into the seats. Pens are just getting too many chances right now for the Hawks to get back, believe me. They are just dominating here from an offensive standpoint. 6-4 Pittsburgh on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Well, Ken Dryden, who was a great goaltender of the Montreal Canadiens, said the reason Scotty Bowman was a great coach is because he just let the players decide the game. He let them go out and just play the game. But the fact of the matter is, he does a lot of juggling of his players and lines, and he does have an effect on the outcome of games.
Well, Paul, I'll tell you learn from experience, and certainly he has enough of that. And here's Grimson now near side. Shooter right to that stop. Rebound in front. Score! The Hawks get a goal to make it 6-5. Jeremy Roenick, and they're not out of it yet. Jeremy Roenick comes up with his second goal of the game, and boy, he scores a goal when they need him the most to get him back within one. You got to give the Hawks credit there. They've come right back down, get back within a goal.
Two Penguins in the corner, a weird hop off the, where did it hit? Barrasso's stick, it came out, Pack was unable to play it. Roenick got there first and hammered it back into the net. Barrasso was already down, so he couldn't get over to stop Roenick.
Well, what seemed like such a helpless moment for the Blackhawks here the last 5 to 7 minutes, all of a sudden turns in their momentum now as they have cut it to a 6-5 Penguin lead. And here's Steve Smith back to get possession of the puck. And Smith to the Blackhawks, going to Rod Busquets. Jaromir Jagr putting pressure on him. It's the first goal the Hawks have scored in the third period of a game in this series. And it comes off Jeremy Roenick's stick. Armour of Chicago to the right wing to Robbie Brown. You almost get that feeling the team that has it last may win this one. Here's Grimson back into Penguin territory and offside against Chicago. Roenick again scoring an 11-18 to make it a 6-5 hockey game. Grimson and former Penguin Rod Busquets gets an assist, his first ever in a Stanley Cup final. Roenick gets the goal. Then we still have 8:13 left here in regulation. Now remember, the Hawks have battled back all night long to tie the game. They still got one to go.
Puck came off the glove of Barrasso right to Roenick. He took one shot, it was stopped, he got the rebound and put it in. What a play out of the corner by Grimson. Grimson just got it to the net. Barrasso had trouble handling it, handcuffed him and came right to Roenick.
Well, the Penguins have outshot Chicago 28-27. They lead them by one. They lead by one on the scoreboard too, 6-5. And here's Jagr back into the Chicago zone. Roenick took it away. Roenick around to Grimson, looks back for Roenick. Grimson's going to carry the puck though. Stu Grimson to the Penguin stripe, and he'll start in. Throw it in behind the net. Roenick is after it. Roenick right to center, comes off right point to Chelios of Chicago. Shoots it, and it was deflected. That one almost went in. Jagr of the Penguins gains possession of the puck, and here he comes storming back to the Chicago line, down the right wing. Moves inside now, trying to feed it to Loney, cut him with a goal, but Chelios broke up that maneuver. And Chelios will find Steve Larmer. Now the goal by Roenick has given the Hawks new life here. They appear to be kind of down and out, but they've gotten a goal to get back within one. They trail the series 3-0. And they're trying to get a victory here to get back and get started in this series anyway. Chelios comes in. He lost it to Mario Lemieux. Has two men open right wing. Goes to Stevens. Off wing right side. Drop pass. Talking down Lemieux in front. But the pass was too hard. He couldn't handle it. Steve Smith will knock him down. And he whacks Smith back with a stick as they jam one another. Now Smith has been whacking Lemieux from behind all night. And Mario turned around and put the stick into him. And here are the Hawks clearing the puck out of their own area. Right to the Penguin goal. Jimmy Pack goes back. He'll get the puck. This pass too hard for Tocchet, and this will be right to the net. Dominic Hasek with 6:48 left in regulation. 6-5, the Penguins lead here in game number 4. And the Hawks spin it back to Penguin territory off the carom. Barrasso's going to move it away from an oncoming Brett Sutter. Jocelyn Lemieux trying to get there, he could. Mateau has it, he shoots it, Murphy blocked that. And he'll start rushing up for the Penguins. Putting the puck into the right wing corner of the Chicago zone. Igor Kravchuk, the Chicago defenseman. Finding Stefan Matteau. Matteau put it in the circle to the right of Barrasso, but the Penguins again gather it in. And they corral the puck, and Francis will throw it in behind the Chicago goal. Hasek stepping behind his net. Left the puck for Chelios, but he gave it away to Phil Bourque. Bourque in front and went right by McEachran, who was planted in front of that goal, trying to get a deflection. The Hawks gave with the puck back to center, and Jocelyn Lemieux will rifle it behind the Pittsburgh net, and Ulf Samuelsson defensively for the Penguins. Finding breaking Sean McEachran on right wing, and he is hit heavily on a good check by Grimson. Knocked off his skates, but he got it up into Chicago ice. Less than 6 minutes left in regulation. Roenick darts around one man. A second he darts around. Coming down, put it in the slot. And Larmer can't tee it up, and Loney knocks it out of midair. Back down to Chicago territory. This will be far enough for icing. And touched by Chelios. 5:37 left in regulation. Pittsburgh 6 and Chicago 5 on the Penguins Hockey Network. What the Ops game is going to be, but should the Penguins win it, they're going to go down as one of the better teams, I think, in the playoffs in National Hockey League history, just from the fact that they would have won 11 straight to close it out. To win 11 straight playoff games, as the Hawks did, is an absolutely amazing statistic. It really is. And to do it under the pressure of this situation in the Stanley Cup Finals, should they win this game, it would be remarkable. And blasted up into the right wing corner of the Penguin zone against the Pens. The Hawks kick it free as it comes around to the near wing. Digging forward will be Dirk Graham. Graham is flattened by Yager, and the Penguins do dump it back to center. Igor Kravchuk over to Chris Chelios. So in this game, Mike Keenan has broken up his defensive pairing of Chelios and Smith. Gone for more offense. They certainly have gotten that. They have 5 goals on the board, but they trail 6-5. Marchment right wing going over to Brian Noonan. And Noonan leaves it over to Graham, shoots it right to the net. He has 3 on the night, but he's stopped by Barrasso. Tommy standing tall right there, and he looks so cool at the moment. Here's Trottier, forcing the puck back behind Dominik Hasek. And Hasek gets the puck to Smith, who is rattled by Jaromir Jagr. Brent Sutters over to try and get the puck. 4:45 left in regulation, and the Penguins lead 6-5. Trying to win the Stanley Cup here tonight in Chicago. And Chelios spins it in. Right into Penguin territory. Pack played it to the point, but not out. Steve Smith put it over the glass and out of action. We'll be back. Pittsburgh 6, Chicago 5 on the Penguins Hockey Network. I want to remind you folks that win or lose this game tonight, the Penguins will not be landing to the main terminal of the Greater Pittsburgh Airport, and they have requested that folks do not come out to the airport to greet the Pen. They will have a celebration so the Penguins win the Stanley Cup. It would be announced later, but they would appreciate it if you do not arrive, because there just will be nobody there. And it goes back in behind the Pittsburgh net, and Shale Samuelsson digging for that puck. Chopped around to the far corner. After it is Kevin Stevens. And that is assuming that the Penguins, of course, well, win or lose, as I said, when they come home tonight. And I'm sure the fans are responding back in Pittsburgh right now. Holding on. Here we go again. They led 1-0 in the game 3 and held on to win it. Can they hold on again, Paul? They're up 6-5. Well, this has been a different hockey game. The Penguins got spectacular goaltending. We've seen good goaltending at both ends here tonight. Dominik Hasek in particular.
Just like I said between periods after we talked to Ronnie Francis, you know, the Penguins are a team like most championship teams that can play it any way you want. And we thought that in a shootout they would have a much better chance of winning the hockey game. Of course, we didn't account for the fact that Dominik Hasek would stand on his ear for much of this game until the Penguins finally broke through with that goal by Larry Murphy and then another one by Ronnie Francis, which is the difference right now. 6-5, 4:14 to go in the third.
Well, face-offs now, everyone is magnified 100 times more than normal, because Noonan and Trottier step in with time becoming a factor. 4:14 left. Penguins win it. And around to the near side, shouldering Marchment is Rick Tocchet, and the Pens clear. Larry Murphy has the puck. And Murphy comes up to center circle. Now to the left side, Trottier is offside. He was ahead on the play when he took the pass. The puck must precede the man into the zone, and that was not the case. Trottier was across the line when he received that pass. And that negates it. Well, Mario Lemieux with a 3-point night for the Penguins. Kevin Stevens has 3.
And that's the cup that Lord Stanley donated to the National Hockey League back in 1893. Well, it wasn't to the NHL. He donated it to be awarded to the amateur champion, hockey champion in Canada, and it really wasn't used by the NHL until much later.
Igor Kravchuk now passing over to Chris Chelios, and Kravchuk Gets it back, and he'll deal it in behind the Penguin net. Barrasso gets the puck, moving around their side. Roenick back to the center point to Chelios of Chicago. Shoots it. Went right in front of the net, but bounced wide of Barrasso. And the Penguins now feed it ahead to center to Ronnie Francis. And he'll poke it through into the Chicago near corner. We are approaching 3.5 minutes left in regulation. 6-5 Pittsburgh. And Chelios rambling through. Bork trying to shut him down for the Penguins, but Chelios stuffs it back into the Penguins' zone. McEachern was upended on the play by Stefan Matteau. He got hurt on that play, but a late whistle here as we had an offside call against Chicago. And so we tick it down. 6-5 Pens on the Penguins Hockey Network. Won a game against Chicago in here this year. Tied a game in Pittsburgh. And won the first game on the road in this final series. They lead the series 3-0. Trying to close it out and get the Stanley Cup for the second time in the history of this franchise. And wristed back of the Chicago net, and Dirk Graham will take it. Dirk Graham with 3 first-period goals for the Blackhawks. The hat trick. 6-5 the score, and Graham carries the puck to the Penguin line. Down the right side against Ulf Samuelsson. Shoots it right to the net. Barrasso able to stop that. The rebound pulled in by Murphy of the Pens on to Yager. Yager to the left side of the Chicago end. Pulls it around. Busquets comes for the net. He makes the move away from that goal now. Still being pressured by Brian Marchment. Yager turns away from him. Still controlling the puck. And shoots it behind the goal to Lemieux. Takes the biscuit. Lemieux turns around. Where's he going to go with it? Smith is on him. The Penguins dazzling people with the moves they're making. Look at Lemieux dance with that puck. Mario near side to Loney. Shoots it. Glove by goaltender Hasek. And he holds for a face-off.
It's showtime here at Chicago Stadium. Unbelievable.
And Lemieux and Yager looking like the
like Michael Jordan.
An old vaudeville act, putting it on. Magic.
There must be something in the air in this building. Look at Lemieux handle the biscuit here between the legs. Thank you. Still has it. It's phenomenal.
2 minutes and 34 seconds left. Please believe me when I talked about this, as great a player as Roenick and the people we've talked about, Stevens and other people, Lemieux just even gets a step above that and what he can do with the puck. Penguins are blessed with some great players on this squad, and so are the Blackhawks. And now we have 2:34 left in regulation. 6-5, the Penguins lead. The Hawks will give everything they have to try and tie this game and try and force possible overtime or even win it in regulation. The Penguins won a game late with only 13 seconds to go at Pittsburgh in game 1. Remember, it can be done. Grimson shoots it, and that one took off on him. Went right up into the seats. Holy goodness. Grimson firing from outside the blue line, and he got a shot that took off and hit a fan. Man. I wouldn't want to play golf with him with a 1-iron the way he shot that. He missed the net by 35 feet. Tell you, when he stood at the tee, I'd get about 7 miles away from him, all the way back. He's dangerous. Tom Barrasso staring in.
He's reeled off 10 straight.
Now the Pens, not only have won 10 straight, but also in this playoff year, they have also had a 4-game winning streak, if you remember. Well, they've had 2 good streaks, and this one trying to tie an NHL record, but they've not there yet to win the Stanley Cup. They're 2-11 away from it if they can hold on. And the Hawks lose it inside the Penguin line. Murphy shoots it down the left wing boards. That's deep into Chicago real estate. And Steve Smith will get a handle on it. We get an icing call against the Penguins. It won't be easy, believe me. Tocchet put his arms around Larry Murphy. The Penguins can feel it right now, but whether or not they can accomplish the feat remains to be seen.
Well, there aren't many teams who play with poise under fire the way the Penguins do. They're just amazing at it, and they've learned the hard way, and particularly in this playoff year, starting when they were faced with elimination against the Washington Capitals.
Andy Van Helleman, the referee, picks up some debris off the ice, and the crowd in Chicago will be behind this club right down to the very end. And Brian Noonan, Robbie Brown, and Dirk Graham will be up front with Steve Smith and Rod Buskus paired as the two defensemen. The Penguins will counter with Trottier out here against Noonan. Lemieux and Francis. Penguins put three center icemen out here. Murphy has the puck from the draw. He is hit by Robbie Brown, but does turn it up the boards, but not out. Gets it back again. And Murphy's going to softly send it back into Chicago ice. They rule Buskus could have played it. No icing. Buskus will be back to take command of it to the right of his own net. 1:45 left here in regulation. Robbie Brown cuts through traffic down the right wing. Lemieux trying to slow him down. Knocks him off his skates. Play goes on. Mario's got the puck. It goes up now to Steve Smith. The backhand's one wide. Still kept in the zone. And Larry Murphy. He turns it up to Lemieux. Back 2-on-1 with Bourque. Lemieux left side of the Chicago end. Goes to Bourque, but he couldn't take the pass. He was going down that right wing. A left-handed shot, and he wants to get off now, I think, as he pulls back. And it goes to the near corner. No, Bourque will stay on, but he just couldn't take that pass from Lemieux. Chelios forced back into his own end, and a good forechecking effort by Troy Loney. 1:15 to go in regulation. Will Hasek come off here? Chelios shoots it in, and Dominic Hasek stays in the net. Around the far boards, Bourque of the Penguins trying to clear out of his own end. Remember, the Penguins have scored 6 empty net goals this playoff year. 1:02 to go, and they do not pull Hasek as the puck's back to center. Now onto the Penguin zone, and after a Goulet. Knocked down by Shel Samuelson. Tom Barrasso skates over to get the puck. The Penguins 53 seconds away. Hasek goes off the ice right now. They put the extra attacker on. It'll be Brent Sutter. Goulet in the Penguins end, trying to center. Behind the net it goes. Brent Sutter put it in front. Rooney goes to the left point to Kravchuk of the Hawks. Now back in behind the net. The pass right up the boards to Barrasso when he pulls it in with that glove and holds on with 39.3 seconds left in regulation. And that's all the Penguins are away right now from winning a Stanley Cup once again. All right, those will seem like believe. Well, it started off high scoring. Yager scored a minute 37 into the contest. Nobody did call time. Comes to life here. They stand in mass, standing room only. You should see them when they open the doors. They run up the stairs, which is about 10 levels up here where we're. But they are amazing. Here's the situation. Face-off. Penguins in to the right of Tom Barrasso. Ryan Trottier. Mario Lemieux, Ron Francis, Ulf Samuelson, and Larry Murphy that buys them off of the bench, plus Barrasso, Brent Sutter, Graham, Goulet, Roenick, Larmer, and Chelios. Chelios planted to the left point. On net, Ulf Samuelson's after it. Empty net down to our right. Played up off the boards, but not out. Steve Larmer played it up a leg, and it carries back to the Chicago zone. 28 seconds left. Chelios pulls back. He'll get it to Roenick. No, went right by. Trottier has it, trying to go to the empty net, and he can't do it. 22 seconds left here in regulation. Chelios steps up. He'll pass to Brent Sutter. Penguins lead 6-5. Right up the play and move. Goulet right in front. 5 seconds to go. Loose around to the far corner. 2 seconds. The Penguins are going to win the Stanley Cup, I believe. Chelios shoots it blocked. The Penguins have won the Stanley Cup. Oh, Lord Stanley, get me the brandy.